a beautiful thing. It grows to the quiver of a fife that sings. I can take it with the wave of my hand and place it upon my music stand. Such a beautiful thing. Such a beautiful thing.
So hello everybody. Thank you again for being here. Happy that you are all here. And it's been quite a week for me. As some of you know, I am helping someone who is at the end of their lives. It's one of our CMC ministers. Been around a long time. A little in the background, so probably a lot of you don't know her. And it's been a very interesting process. You know, it's as one would think, when you're helping somebody. I'm her durable power of attorney, both for healthcare and financial affairs. You know, it gets you to ask certain questions and have certain thoughts about your own life. So what it brought up for me was just the whole idea of forgiveness, and you know, just how important forgiveness is. At the end of our lives and all throughout our lives. I mean, I remember years ago I read the Carlos Castaneda material, and one of his teachings from Don Juan, that we should always live with death as our constant companion, because it changes our perspective. You know, it makes us really live in the moment, basically, is what it is. So this is the moment, and this is the moment when we can forgive. It's, not the future, it's always now. And forgiveness, most, of course, of Miracle students know, is really foundational and fundamental. It's also an important concept and issue in traditional Christianity. I think A Course in Miracles takes the traditional Christian idea of forgiveness and puts it on steroids, jacks it up. Some people would say that, you need to forgive in order to be healed. I think what A Course in Miracles actually tells us is that forgiveness actually is healing itself. The Course says that forgiveness is healing, needs to be understood if the teacher of God is to make progress. So forgiveness is healing, and we have to understand this, and it is key to our progress. And there are so many things that come up that call for forgiveness. Anything that is fear-based, anything that instills fear, or certainly anything that instills anger, or anything that, triggers guilt in our minds, it's a call for forgiveness. So, I mean, I had so many things. Because I was hyper-aware of it this week, I had so many things. I was really aware of how annoyed I was at the powers that be for stoking the COVID fear again. Different people came out, Dr. Fauci talking about, COVID cases increasing and how it is probably wise for us to start wearing masks again indoors. This is interesting because, I've read a lot of current studies. There was actually a big study this week out of North Dakota, how masks didn't help. They compared one school who had mask mandates with another school nearby who did not have mask mandates, and they saw no difference in COVID cases. And so, it seems like the masks and the mask mandates had absolutely no effect. And yet, COVID cases rising, so the powers that be are calling us to wear masks again. There's that idea that if you do the same thing over and over again, even though it doesn't work, that's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, even though it doesn't work. So in my mind, there's a whole lot of insanity. So I had a grievance about that. And I meant that I had to forgive it. I had to forgive all the people involved, and I just had to let it go. So, One of the little memes that was chosen for the vaccines were that they were safe and effective. And of course, that's been debated. First of all, how effective are they since so many people are getting COVID who are fully vaccinated and boosted? And their safety is being challenged in many ways. So I'll just let that sit there. But there is one thing that is truly safe and effective for all of us, and that is forgiveness. Forgiveness is the mitigation strategy that is absolutely safe and absolutely effective, and that is the one that we truly should be embracing, and we can embrace what other worldly ones we want. But I know that I want to embrace forgiveness, and certainly I can advocate and talk about forgiveness as being safe and effective. Okay, workbook lesson 121. There's two wonderful workbook lessons about forgiveness that are back to back. The first one is 121. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. And in it, in the first paragraph, it says, here is the way to safety in apparent dangers, which appear to threaten you at every turn. So forgiveness is not just a mental thing to keep ourselves peaceful while these very real dangers appear to be out there. Forgiveness is what actually heals the appearance of the danger. It's the way to safety in apparent dangers that appear to threaten us. So, the new danger about COVID, the real safe and effective thing to do is practice forgiveness. Go through your mind, go through your lives. What are the situations? Who are the people that you have not forgiven? Make an effort to forgive them. I've been keenly aware, both with myself, but also I see it in other people all the time, that people can give lip service to the idea of forgiveness, but actually there's a lot of unforgiveness going on with most of us, and many, many people are really just unwilling. They're just unwilling. Even though they know they should, they are unwilling. So that's how I got the title of today's lecture, today's sermon, Forgiveness. When and why we don't do it. When don't we do it? Why don't we do it? When should we do it? Well, we always need to be doing it. And we certainly should be doing it anytime we're challenged with something, with an illness, with some situation in our lives that is difficult, with some situation in the world that we are just out of peace with. Why don't we do it? Unfortunately, all I can come up with is that we just don't want to. We just don't want to. We know we should, but we hold on to this idea that we don't have to. Our grievances are just too much fun to hold on to, and we just don't do it. And the truth is, though it's kind of hard to admit to ourselves and to others, we're just not that nice. We're just not that nice. A Course in Miracles in one of the later chapters talks about the concept of the self, and it talks about the face of innocence that we all have and that we all, put out there and, claim that, that we're innocent and nice people. But what it says is that face of innocence hides kind of a savage, vindictive persona. And unfortunately, that's why we don't forgive. We like our attack too much. We like our judgments too much. A Course in Miracles says that we have thousands of scraps of meanness. I love that little me. I love that expression. It says, you retain thousands of little scraps of meanness, which prevent the Holy One from entering. So that's why we don't do it, because we're too attached to our meanness. And, I've just been aware of this. I've been aware of how little effect sometimes, even with long-term Course in Miracles students, the discipline has with them letting go of these little scraps of meanness. And I'm also aware of how little effect I've had in working with people sometimes, sometimes long, of course, in miracle students, to getting them to let go of their little scraps of meanness. You know, if you don't think you have little scraps of meanness, think about political figures, I say this often, that you don't agree with. Because we certainly believe we have the right to just be hateful and angry at these people. You know, think about the former president. Think about the current president. I'm sure one of those, you'll be able to identify the little scraps of meanness that you have that you are not willing to let go of. If you think about forgiveness being, excuse me, being healing itself, sometimes in order to understand that, it's good to think about what the opposite is. So if forgiveness is healing itself, the opposite is holding grievances, is sickness itself. And we hold grievances, that's sickness itself. You know, grievance is one of those words that we say a lot and don't think about exactly what it means because we think we know what it means. So, but I looked it up this morning and said a grievance, a real or imagined wrong or other cause of complaint or protest, especially unfair treatment. And what I really liked is it said that the grievance was real or imagined. I like that even the dictionary caught that nuance. So we have grievances. Maybe they have manifestations in the world that some people might call real. And maybe they're just imagined in our minds. It doesn't matter. You know, they might be true. They might not be true. But we stubbornly hold on to these things. And it doesn't matter. I see that if we intellectually understand forgiveness, certain ones we're just really unwilling to let go of. Course in Miracles says, certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness, yet that is the content underneath the form. So any distress that we may be having, regardless of what we're blaming it on the COVID virus, blaming it on the mitigation strategies, blaming it on the political system, blaming it on the Supreme Court or the President of the United States. Pick one. Doesn't matter which one. Doesn't matter what we blame it on. The truth is, the only reason we have any distress is because we're not willing to forgive. And the reason why we're not willing to forgive is because we don't want to let go of our little scraps of meanness. Okay. Course in Miracles says that when we're trying to identify our grievances, it's easy to do just thinking of someone you do not like, who seems to irritate you or cause regret in you if you should meet him, one you actively despise or merely try to overlook. So, you know, it doesn't have to be somebody that you've identified all this hatred in. Maybe you just, you know, don't want to deal with them. I just would prefer to overlook them. I just, you know, don't have to have this person in my life. I'll just overlook it. Okay, you know, that's a grievance. That's an unforgiveness. I work really hard at eliminating those in my life, but even this week, as I was dealing with my friend and trying maybe just a little harder, I identified a couple of people that, you know, I'm just preferring to overlook. I wasn't aware of really being angry at them, but just sort of willing to overlook them. But remember that we have grievances not just against people, but we have grievances against situations too. So when I think about situations, I've got a long list of grievances. So I thought about my city, San Francisco. I have a lot of grievances against my city, San Francisco. You know, I have grievances against the way they have not dealt with the homeless crisis in San Francisco, and it's bad. And it's gotten worse over the last couple of decades. And I feel they could do something about it. They don't do something about it. They don't do anything effective about it. And, I don't like it that my city now has a reputation all over the country, maybe worldwide, of being filthy, of human feces and hypodermic needles strewn all over the streets. And while it's probably not as bad as the media likes to play it up, it is still pretty bad. And I've still seen a lot of it myself. So, I got that grievance. I got the grievance against my city of San Francisco for treating me like a disease vector for 8 months and not allowing me to eat inside a restaurant because I'm an unvaccinated person and unvaccinated people couldn't eat inside restaurants in San Francisco. And one things that I really like to do is go out to eat. And I was sharing that with a friend. And he goes, "Well, you can eat outdoors." It's like, yeah, it's cold. It's cold and sometimes raining outdoors. And I want to eat inside with the clean white people, Do I have to eat outside in the so-called colored section? This is really bad. I thought it was really bad anyway. I got a grievance against my city for that. I got a grievance against the Course of Miracles community for not supporting the Community Miracle Center more than it has over the years. We've been supported, but, I always think we could have been supported more. I'm really grateful that we're still here. But I got a grievance against that. I got a grievance against my body. My body, why wasn't my body just naturally slimmer? Why did I have to struggle, or why do I continue to struggle for so long just to keep my weight at a healthy range, or what I believe is healthy? Why do I have to struggle with weight management? Why have I struggled with weight management my whole life? Why didn't I have a different body and different body appetites? So I got all kinds of things like that. And I got to work on them. Because forgiveness is the key to happiness. Remember I said there are 2 forgiveness lessons that are close to each other. So the first one is that 121, forgiveness is the key to happiness. The next one is 122, forgiveness offers everything I want. This is the one that Reverend Rudy read. He said, "What could you want forgiveness cannot give? Do you want peace? Forgiveness offers it. Do you want happiness? A quiet mind, a certainty of purpose, and a sense of worth and beauty that transcends the world? Do you want care and safety and the warmth of sure protection always?" Yeah, I want all those things. Don't we all want all those things? Don't we all want safety? Don't we all want the warmth of sure protection? Always? Don't we want safety from the COVID virus? Don't we want safety from war? Don't we want safety from filth in our streets? My car got stolen last year again. Don't we want safety from those kinds of things happening? San Francisco has gotten a reputation for random lawlessness. It's just, don't we want safety from those things? Well, I can blame bad governance, but the safe and effective way to heal any of these things is forgiveness. It's not about changing the governance. It's about having forgiveness. And if I have the forgiveness, and if I choose the forgiveness, the governance will change and grow and evolve in a way that reflects that. And that's the safe and effective way to deal with any of these things. As I said, the ego's got these scraps of meanness that it holds on to. The Course says, it, meaning the ego, it believes that the best defense is attack and wants you to believe it. So the ego believes that your best defense isn't practicing forgiveness. The ego believes that you need to hold on to those grievances and to attack. Now, maybe you don't do anything physically to attack, but you keep the attack going in your mind. And that's just the same attack, whether it's acted out or not. So we need to be really honest with ourselves. And we need to be really dedicated with ourselves. And I think we need to really understand that A Course in Miracles is not an intellectual discipline that gives lip service to. It's an actual program to practice, and the essence of the practice is forgiveness. The essence of the practice is looking within and identifying those things that cause us to feel off, and then not making them into a grievance that we hold. Yesterday I was, dealing with somebody, who I love, and that person said something that I wasn't anticipating. And it was something that my ego evaluated as hurtful and as uncaring and as, unappreciative. And I felt it. How does that feel for me? Well, there's this sort of like sinking in feeling. There's like this hollow feeling. There's this cold feeling. There's an empty feeling. And there's an instinct to want to do something about it. React. Now, thank God, and I do thank God. I'm a 42-year veteran A Course in Miracles student, and I know when those feelings happen, they're just an indication that I'm listening to my ego. The Course tells us to monitor how we are feeling, because that tells us how we are thinking. I think the quote is, "Judge how well you have done this by your feelings, for they are the one right use of judgment." So we monitor our feelings. So when I feel that sinking, hollow, cold, empty feeling, that's an alarm that tells me I'm thinking with my ego, and there's nothing I need to do with it. I've identified it now. I certainly don't want to come from it, and I don't want to react from it. And as I said, thank God I'm a 40-plus year veteran of A Course in Miracles, because I don't have to. I can really disengage from it. It can be there. I don't try to push it away or anything. I just let it be there, but I don't come from it. So there was no external manifestation of my inner distress. And then later, throughout the day, I kept working on it. I kept offering it up to the Holy Spirit. I kept asking for another perception. And within a few hours, I had, returned to my more normal state, and that feeling had flowed through me. My mind holds only what I think with God. Those weren't thoughts and those weren't feelings that I think with God, and my mind doesn't naturally hold those things. And when we practice forgiveness, we enable our mind to let go of those things so much faster. Truth is, we'll never let go of some things unless we practice the forgiveness. And we have to do it. That's how we heal. We have to do it if we want to heal. And we have to let go all of those little scraps of meanness that we so cherish, because they are sickness itself. And if we are to be healers, both of ourselves and for others, we have to be forgiveness practicers, because forgiveness is the key to happiness, and forgiveness does offer everything we want. Okay, that's my talk for today. Thank you very much.
A flower is a beautiful thing. It grows to the quiver of a fife that sings. I can take it with the wave of my hand and place it upon my music stand. Such a beautiful thing, such a beautiful thing.